Hi guys, welcome back. This is Matt Chat number 48, featuring Dyna Micro's Dungeons of Daggorath. Dungeons of Daggorath, you say? I bet this is a game that not everybody out there has heard of. A couple of you hardcore guys, of course, probably know this game backwards and forwards. It was developed and published in 1982 by a guy named Douglas J. Morgan. And apparently this is the only real game he worked on. This is a first-person 3D real-time game published for the Tandy Color Computer, the Trash 80 color computer for some of you Tandy fans out there. And it's really a marvel. It's really an achievement, as we'll see. It's you've got the most primitive graphics that you'll, even for the damn Tandy Color Computer, okay? But there's just something exciting and exhilarating about this game. And I think you'll agree once we start playing it. Now, before we get into the game, though, a little bit about some of its predecessors. Most notably, I think we should talk about Maze War. Now, this is a game that was developed sometime in the mid to late 70s. Seems hard to get exact dates. There's a video that I'll post a link to here where you can watch a demonstration of Maze War running on some Xerox Alto computers, I believe. But this was a very early example of a multiplayer first-person shooter. Basically, you have a partner, and you're trying to track down your partner and kill him. Maybe partner's not the right word to use there, but you get the idea. Now, this was followed up in 1980, of course, with Atari's Battlezone, which is a really fun tank game where you have these two joysticks to control your tank. It's, of course, very difficult, but you still get a first-person, real-time action, arcade-like experience. It's a very fun game and rightfully a classic. Okay, and that brings us up to 1981 with the publication of a game called 3D Monster Maze, by one Malcolm Evans. This is a British game for the British computer, the ZX81. And a lot of Americans aren't familiar with this system, and it always pisses off our British and European listeners and fans. Obviously we missed out on this awesomeness that was the Specky. But I think any of us can appreciate a game like 3D Monster Maze when we see it. This is a great real-time romp through a 3D maze in first person. You're running from a T-Rex, so maybe this inspired Jurassic Park. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Anyway, great game. Now finally, let's get into 1982 and the publication of this Dungeons of Daggorath game. Now there's a couple of key innovations we should mention here. As we've already mentioned, it's first person and real time. But I want you, as we play this game, to listen to the sound effects. That's really where a lot of the innovations are. There's different sound effects to help you navigate the dungeon, see if a monster's coming. But most noticeably, this awesome pulsating heart that speeds up as your character gets tired or excited or near death. And believe it or not, your own heartbeat as you're playing this game will probably increase and decrease along with this heart on the screen. It's a brilliant innovation. I don't know why we haven't seen more of this. There have been, of course, a few first-person shooters that have followed this example. All right, so without further ado, let's play Dungeons of Daggorath. Now, one thing you're going to notice right away is that this is not a user-friendly learn-as-you-go type of game. This was made in an era where often, if you didn't read the manual, you had no clue what to do. And this is a good illustration of that. You start off in a dark room, and you have to figure out what letters do what. You you can type in some commands, but it doesn't even recognize things like inventory. But once you get this torch out of your pack and get it lit and get your sword going in the right hand, you're good to go. Now you can see the movement here. M is to move forward. You've got other commands like turn left, turn right. You can equip items in your left or right hand. You see there where it says empty, that's my left hand, and the wooden sword is in my right. And in the middle we have this beating heart, and as we'll see, that's going to beat faster depending on how excited my character is. If I have a big load of stuff and I keep moving, that heartbeat's going to go up, and I might have to stop for a while and rest. So it's a very immersive way, very clever way to get the player immersed in the game. Now, the story of this game is rather cliche. There's a wizard here somewhere I have to kill. Nothing very original there, of course. But there are some nice touches. For one thing, the type of items I can find. Later on, I'm going to be able to find rings that I can incant, or basically enchant, and kill wizards with. There's different types of items, like the wooden sword is, I guess, the lowest of the low. I can also find an iron sword, and then mithril items. I can find shields. I also have to keep an eye on my torches. These last, depending on what type of torch it is, maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And, considering there's 5 levels of this dungeon, it's something to think about. Okay, looks like we've got my first monster here. This is the smiley blob, who's rather deadly, so he's probably going to kill me. Yep, he has killed me. So that's one of the things about this game. You can die at any moment. You gradually build up your strength, but it's going to be rough going, especially at the beginning. Alright, so there's a little bit later. I've been playing this for a few hours, so I'm a little bit more comfortable with the commands now. This is a problem for a lot of these early games. The commands are very arbitrary, and there's no on-screen help or in-game help, so again, no manual, no gameplay, unless you're very patient. But, some interesting things with the interface here. For one thing, I can type in commands faster than the computer can respond to them. So it's possible, for instance, to type in MMMM for move several times, and then maybe attack, and all of that will happen even though it'll take a while for the computer to catch up with me. Those commands will still get executed eventually. That leads to some very interesting possibilities, and also some carpal tunnel for some folks. Okay, here's a monster. You can see as he's doing damage to me, my heart rate is going up. I'm trying to attack him with a sword in my right hand, and what you can do is move back a few steps, and that'll give you a chance to catch your breath and hopefully defeat him before you are killed by him. So yes, it's it doesn't look like much, but believe me, if you're playing this, it's very adrenaline pumping. You're trying to get these commands typed into the keyboard as quickly as possible, and typos creep in, and it gets very frustrating. It's very exciting. I mean, what can I say? You've got to give this game a try. There's no video that's going to do justice to this. Now, if you like to play this on your modern PC, if you don't have a CoCo sitting around somewhere, you can try out this free PC remake. This is open source, and it's very well done. Of course, you'll notice that the graphics here really are just in monochrome. So that's one reason why sometimes the original hardware, or at least a faithful emulator, is your best bet. But if you don't care about that, this remake is certainly easy to get up and running, and you're still going to have a lot of fun with it. And that's all for this week's Matt Chat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A couple things. One is, you're probably, if you watched the last episode, you might be wondering, Matt, where's the interview? I don't see no interview. Well, the truth is, I was looking at my calendar wrong. So blame me for this. I'll take full responsibility. However, the interview is still set. It's still on for next week. So I know you're looking forward to that. I know I am. I think you're going to enjoy listening to this person's comments. I'm sure that she has a lot of insights that you might not have heard from some of the other interviews. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. Now, another thing I wanted to mention was Tanuka KGA. He's a friend of mine here on YouTube. He is part of this effort It's a charity drive, basically, to get video games into the hands of kids in the hospital. The idea is these kids have enough to worry about. They're, traumatized. They're in a lot of pain, maybe. And the idea is maybe a new game or two would help take their mind off of this horrible situation. And who knows, maybe actually help get them better and get them out of the hospital sooner. I think it's a great idea, so I'm posting a link to his video so you can go and check that out and maybe contribute to the cause. Thought I'd leave you, as usual, with a quotation, this time from Nathaniel Hawthorne. What other dungeon is so dark as one's own heart? Hey, I love that. Hope you guys did too. See you next week.